Also, are new. They look pretty good. If you're looking for a shirt, all you do is you go to our website, you go to join the club. They don't actually work. So that's unfortunate. Well, okay. All you guys gotta do is join the club, and there's a link that will take you to the deeper if you want to order. We're doing another order. All right, but what we're gonna do right now to start off the meeting before our guest speaker comes is doing an icebreaker. The point of the icebreaker is to do a small group around you, introduce yourself, say your name, and the question today is, what is the best advice you've ever been given or advice to live by? All right, about 3 minutes, talk amongst each other and introduce yourself. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's like, you know, I know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, I remember we walked
All right.
While we wait for our guest speaker, they don't have to work. So you just gotta do it. All right, let's start off this way. Let's check our wonderful precinct delegate coordinator. I think that's good for that, right? So we'll interview on paper our precinct
You guys
delegate.
are drawing a big car.
Precinct delegate. Liaison, okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm William Asher. I'm the precinct delegate liaison for the Royal Oak Area Democratic Club. And I guess, I just learned this recently that, there's an organization in Oakland County called, Democratic Precinct Delegates of Oakland County, DIPDOC. And, what they did was they arranged for all the clubs in the county to set up a precinct delegate liaison. And I guess prior to that, there wasn't much emphasis on precinct delegates, and there are precinct delegates all across the state, but the Democratic Party basically doesn't know what to do with this. So Oakland County is kind of set the pattern for the state, and are trying to engage precinct delegates, get precinct delegates to engage with their precincts, their neighbors, to inform them about Democratic politics, about elections. And I was just told a couple days ago that it's really very unique stuff, like very little kind of engagement like that. So anyway, so TikTok set up precinct liaisons for each club. And I met right now. And what we've been doing, I guess some of the precinct delegates have been getting lists from me of likely Democrats in their precincts. And what we're trying to do right now is engage voters early and inform them about the November election, and then also inform them about actions they can take, including coming to these meetings. So, and in fact, I've been canvassing in my neighborhood, getting a little flyer, things about the election. And representatives of hopefully at least one. But so any of you are precincts, if you need a list for your precinct, just let me know. And I can give it to you, or you can use the list will come from the Organization Network. Something that you use when you're volunteering for a campaign. Same thing, meeting. Or you can use Wave, which is another application. Access to all your voters. That's it. Oh, I have a question. Good question. Wait, working. Yeah, I had a little problem. They were enhancing it. Kind of a neat enhancement. The band had to work on the criminals to find the administrator of the way had to set up a campaign plan. And have certain parameters like strong Democrats or medium Democrats or whatever. And now we haven't seen this itself. What they told me is that commitments in self-service so that you can actually set up your own campaign. And some states Wendy, try.
Oh, yeah. Like last Wednesday.
They've updated it just a couple days ago.
Oh,
So yeah, it should be working now. If not, I mean, we can work. Any questions? Yes.
is TikTok looking for board members?
Wow. TikTok is looking for board members, yes. In fact, I was asked if I wanted to consider being one, and I declined because I feel like I have enough other things going on. But, this is quite an honor, I guess. But they didn't actually offer to me, they just for, sending out a feeler.
Before, let's give an update for Royal Oak Rising. For those who are new, Royal Oak Rising is a part of our club, but it is focused on younger Democrats to make sure that we're doing events and activities that help grow our club. And one of the priorities of the Democratic Club. So Matt is one of our co-chairs to give us a big update about upcoming events.
Thank you, Michael, and hello, everybody. As Michael mentioned, Royal Oak Rising is devoted to getting more young Democrats involved in politics, which is something that we need more and more. We have about 20, I would say, active members, and we've shown tremendous growth ever since we got started up. One really fun update is that Royal Oak Rising is hosting a internship program for a high school student who wants to, and in fact already has started a Royal Oak High School Democratic Club, and that's my friend Owen right there. Like this, Owen, because you're doing a lot of really good work. So I have the privilege of serving as Owen's internship supervisor. Not that he needs a ton of supervision. He's already got the Royal Oak High School Dem Club up and running, and it sounds like you guys are going to hit the ground running too. So we are building a pipeline of people who will volunteer for campaigns, make this club even stronger, maybe even run for office themselves. A couple other things, we have some cool events coming up on May 18th. We are doing a sign making and rock painting social event at the Royal Oak Library. I'm sure that in our regular emails from the club, you get more information about that. But we're just gonna, gather and make some signs that we can bring to our protests. And then a little bit later in the year, we are doing a outing. We're going to be going to the Royal Oak Leprechauns minor league baseball game. That is Sunday, July 20th, so a little bit farther out. Those are a couple of highlights from Royal Oak Rising, and then Royal Oak Rising is also helping me spread the word about an upcoming election in Clawson. I'm not sure how many of you folks know about that, but this upcoming Tuesday, there is going to be a special election in Clawson, and the majority on the city council put a ballot initiative on the May ballot. Who knew that there could be elections in May? To essentially overturn part of Boston City Charter, specifically the part that would result in the city council expanding from 4 members to 6 members. Are you confused yet? Yeah. Yes, so it's convoluted, it's complicated. The Dem Club as an organization has not taken a position on this, but I'm a Democratic precinct delegate in Boston. I don't like that they're trying to overturn the will of the voters. I don't like that they called this special election with so little notice in May during a year when most people don't know that there can be elections. I don't like that they're spending $25,000 of city tax resources on this when we have crumbling roads and water mains that explode. So I have been texting precinct delegates with Wade, thank you, William, for setting it up with Wade, as well as setting up a phone bank. So if anyone would like to participate in that phone bank, you can talk to me after. Question?
What the impetus is.
This is just my personal opinion, but the Clawson has 4 city council members and a mayor. We have 2 that are roughly aligned with Democrats and 3 that are roughly aligned with Republicans. And the vote was put out on a partisan basis. So I think one likely impossible interpretation is that after the November election, they quickly saw the amazing backlash that the American people and civil society have had to Trump. They recognize that if we go forward with this election in 2024, the Democratic candidates might have such a great year that they flip the Boston City Council to Democratic Alliance control for the first time, and I don't even know when. So my thought is that they may have put this reversal on the ballot in order to prevent that from happening. But that's not really what I'm telling voters. I'm just telling them that it's an insult to go against the will of the voters, especially since this new city charter was approved in November of 2023. So it's been less than 2 years since this was even part of the thing. So anyways, if you want to help me out and vote make and talk to folks in Boston about voting no, you can hit me up after the meeting. And I'll thank you, Joe Michael. Perfect.
We are very excited to be joined by our guest speaker, our Deputy Secretary of State, Aghogho. Big round of applause. There's a lot of the Democrats here this morning. Fantastic. I'm going to acknowledge Natalie Price. Well, right now, the legislature are facing a lot of different headwinds, including just this past week, HJRB, which was put on. Do people know what HJRB is, the posthumous Wave Act? But I point this out first because right now, when we're in dark times, we need to have some hope. We need to have some victories. And we won. Yeah. We won. They didn't get the 2/3 that they needed to move it on to the Senate.
Tell everybody what it is, yeah, please.
Yeah.
I haven't done my legislative update yet. but,
So HDRB is the SAVE Act equivalent in Michigan,
Okay.
which would require documentary proof of citizenship. The twist is that there actually is no definition in the HDRB of what documentary proof of citizenship is. And when I testified before the House Elections Committee a few weeks ago, and I pointed this out, Representative Moskina said, well, a future legislation, we'll figure that out. Don't worry. Don't worry. We got it all covered. But you should be very concerned when a politician tells you, give me power.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do with it. And those are the very dangerous times that we live in. And it's something that's familiar for my family because my parents are immigrants. Both of my parents have come from Nigeria, and they didn't have their first presidential election until my mom was 19 years old. I grew up hearing stories about that. And my mom was in this very long line in 1979 and wanted at some point to get out of line because she was frustrated. And her father said, no, listen, we have to stand in this line and persist because it is our collective responsibility to stand up for our democracy. And that's the moment that we find ourselves in today. That's the moment that we find ourselves in today, because it's going to be up to every single person in this room to get up and fight and destroy something.
Yes.
But I also want people to remember where we were the last time. Remember 4 years ago when Trump tried to overturn a presidential election? When he tried to send his folks to TCF in our own state to try and stop the count? I was there. I was Michigan State Director of All Voting is Local, making sure that the vote continued, making sure that we had the evidence to show that the proper procedures were followed. And we came out of that knowing that there were some good ideas, right? That there were things that we had to do better. And so we all came together and we put something called Proposal 2 on the ballot to promote the vote, to ensure that our ballots would be the things that determine and certify our elections and nothing else. That we would have drop boxes in every single community. That we would have free postage on absentee ballot return envelopes. That we would have the things that would allow us to really speak with one united voice going into elections. And it passed with 60% of the vote. 60%. And I love to point that out because what it tells me is that when we rise above the lies, when we rise above the misinformation that is so infecting our politics right now, that we sometimes can't even talk to our family members and our friends about politics because there's so much vitriol. But when we rise above that, we have a winning message that unites the country, and that's what we have to get back. And so after 2022, and that all happened, I was focused on, okay, how am I as an advocate going to influence this implementation process? Little did I know that one day I would get a call from a number that I didn't recognize, but I recognize very frequently now. I always pick up the phone. Out from our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. And she called me and asked me, hey, you've done a lot of work to figure out what we have to do to put this amendment on the ballot and pass it. Would you come on our team and help us implement? And we did. 1.2 million Michiganders voted early last November. And that was a victory for our democracy. And there are a lot of more victories that we have to have. But I also point out one thing that we have to remember as Democrats. It's important that we deliver. And it's important that we deliver on a day-to-day basis. And that's what we do at the Secretary of State's office. Every single day you can go into our branches, you can get in and out in 30 minutes or less. And that builds confidence, not only in the Secretary of State's office, but in government itself. And that allows people to believe in elections being certified on time. That allows people to believe that there's a path around all this nonsense with tariffs and sending people to El Salvador and disappearing them in the night. That there is actually a path for Democrats to do things well. And so I've learned that, and we have to move that going forward. But we also have to remember that we got to get rid of dark money in politics. We've got to get rid of because the thing that is holding us back is we have these billionaires and these people with their very own self-centered interests trying to take over and influence our government. Elon Musk is a symptom. He's a symptom of the overall problem. He's not just this one off. He's a symptom of the problem that affect our country. And right now we have a system where people can donate unlimited sums of money to the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. It's wrong regardless. And we have got to stop that. We've got to stop that. And as your next Secretary of State, I am committed to doing everything in my power to fight back against that and hold everybody in our government accountable. With that, I want to open it up to some questions. Would love to have a conversation because ultimately, like I said before, this is going to take every single person in this room standing up and fighting every single day.
I have a question about Musk's method. Oh, thank you for being here. The method that he's employed in the Pennsylvania election, in Pennsylvania and just most recently Wisconsin, about offering money to voters. I'm not even sure like the mechanisms of it, but it seems like he's been, there is an opportunity or a loophole for him to do that. I think that it has been limited, but I don't know if it has been stopped. Can you say what our position or how it is the Michigan laws operate? Would they prevent kind of this lottery for voters or billionaires?
So to ground, for those who are not familiar, Elon Musk basically paid $2 million to get people to vote for his candidates in Wisconsin. He's literally trying to buy people's votes. And the way he has been able to get around it, and this is, so you've seen these things on election day where if you wear your I vote sticker or anyone who's interested in election can get, I don't know, free 7-Eleven Slurpee. You know, those are harmless things to just kind of get people interested. What he has instead done is that anyone who attends my rally is eligible to get this $1 million. And it's a very destructive influence on the system. Now, in Michigan, we would absolutely, if he tried to do that here, take action against him. And let's remember back last year when Trump was running against
Kamala Harris for an attorney. He tried to set up a similar system. And we very promptly sent him a cease and desist notice and changed his tip. So we know how to stand up to him in Michigan, and we're gonna continue to do that, but there's more to explore because I think there are too many loopholes that would allow something similar like that to happen in Michigan. So there's some legislative laws that we have to explore to do that.
From your closing comments in your talk, it sounds like you're running for Secretary of State. I haven't been aware of. Congratulations. I'm wondering, can you tell me, are any other Democrats running at this point?
So I'm the only Democrat in the race right now, trying to keep it that way. But yeah, I am running, and the reason I'm running, so I'll take you back to election night this past November. There's a suite of offices for the Secretary of State in the Cadillac Place field and building. We had our team there watching the election results, watching registration of our election. And I realized, gosh, we got Trump again. We got Trump again. And this was not something, my wife, Nancy and I was just much cooler, less stress job, likes that one a lot better. And we've been talking just a lot about the dangers that face people who are in these positions. As you may know, the secretary had 2 swatting attempts last year. The swatting attempts is when somebody proposes to be you and says, I'm in danger, would you send a SWAT team to my house? In the hope that, this is the dark part, in the hope that you would get killed in the crossfire.
Oh my goodness.
And one of those swatting attempts came to me. Someone called and said, I just got this email from someone reporting to be the secretary, is everything okay? And I was standing right next to my wife as we were talking about the previous swatting attempt that happened the day before. So we've been living with the dangers of what it takes to do this job. At the same time, I also know I took an oath. I took an oath when I took this office back in March 2023 that I would do everything that I could to uphold the laws of the state of Michigan and our values. And I know what this job entails. I know what we have to do to keep our democracy free and fair. And I think it would be wrong for me to step away in this hour of need and say, I've had enough. So I'm stepping up, and I hope to step up with all of you to ensure that we have free and fair elections. But if we have free and fair elections, there is a path out of it. Absolutely. I've seen this job from every single angle, as a citizen, as a voter, as an advocate, lawyer, and now as deputy secretary. And I'm really excited to get moving so that we can do the work of rebuilding our.
My question is, so in Michigan, we have the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, and then we have our Secretary of State to administer elections. And in my experience, there seems to be a disconnect in the communication between what the Citizens Commission has ordered and gone through and what communications are coming out through the Secretary of State and what I then as a voter receive. So I just was talking with Amanda here about the change in the new districts, and it was hard for me to find. I had to know the right name of the map in order to find what district I'm in now. And I'm here at a Democratic Club meeting. Most of my friends have no idea what districts they're in, wouldn't have any idea that their districts have changed. So my point is, this isn't a critique of like what's currently happening, but how do you think the Secretary of State's office can work more closely with the communications coming from the commission so that voters are more informed and that it's more easy to find the information to need?
It should be critique. Take the word, and it should be critique. Because listen, Secretary of State's office is not perfect. We do things wrong. And we are supposed to be looking at those things and trying to do better. And yes, I heard that and I went to the team and asked about it, and the biggest excuse is that the Independent Redistricting Commission hasn't sent over the shape-up so that we can put it online on our end. However, if you're following the process, you know what name of the map actually got chosen. And so we can have our website on our own, where we're pointing out, this is the name of the map that passed, and here's a link to go find it. We've got to be a lot more transparent. We've got to be radically transparent in ways that we have not even contemplated. There should be very little about any government that you should not have access to. Very little. If we're in the course of making a decision where there are a lot of different options tossed back and forth, maybe that's private. But the ultimate decision and what the result is and how it affects each and every one of you has to be public so that you can hold us accountable. So I'm sorry that that's not working well, and I'll get back to the team on Monday and say, how can we keep this project?
I wanted to know, what is your strategy to get more voters registered? Young people as well as others.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did when we had the trifecta, and I hope we get it again, because there's a lot of things that we've got to do as Democrats. I'm disappointed with how things ended, as I know you all are. I think there was some missed opportunities. But the thing that we did do well was we passed a law that allows 16 and 17-year-olds to pre-register. And that is a very powerful thing, because what we've been doing, and we're going to expand this program, is we've been going to high schools all across the state and doing mock election. And so we do like a little bit of a mock election. We appoint someone Secretary of State, the state clerk, we get some vote counters. We actually just do a little, election, teach them about the process and mystify. And we want to do that in every single school district across the state, so that we're giving people a direct opportunity right there in these high school students to re-register, to get in the system, so that when they turn 18, they automatically are ready to go and vote. And I think that's important, because there are basically two different groups of young voters. There are young voters who are on college campuses. 88% of young people on college campuses are voting because they have that civic system that's encouraging them to vote. But if you're a young person and you're not, if you're in the trades, or if you're working, multiple jobs to try and support your kids or whatever, there isn't that support system to help you vote. And so we have to start early in high school. And then we've also got to expand into the trades, and we've got to work with Michigan Works and a lot of different other agencies so that nobody's being left out. Because one of the things I traveled all throughout the state last year, all of these months, and I remember there was one session I had with some 18, 19, and 20 year olds, and they were talking about inflation, about jobs, and feeling completely disconnected from any ability to hold people accountable to make things better for their lives. And so when we see people who lose hope early on in their journey as voters, they typically don't get re-engaged. And that's the tragedy. So we have to repair that, and that's what I'm going to work on.
That's just brilliant. Thank you. That is amazing. It's like Model UN, but this is a lot more US. I mean, it's our daily lives, right? Thank you.
Actually, I know the answer. General rules around college students where they're voting.
Yeah, so that is a great, and this is something that is very unfortunate, but started because a Republican wanted to win an election, so he changed the rules. My broad student ran for the United States. Last year, originally didn't make it. But when he originally ran for Congress back in 2000, he knew he was doing that. So back in, I think it was either 98 or 99, you pass the law that says that your address you have to have one address that travels with it, that also aligns with your driver's license. And so that's problematic for college students because they are typically have a driver's license with their address at their parents' house, and they're living on campus. And so it's right now, it's not a good idea for you to change your address unless you have a plan to do so. Because it might mess with insurance rates and stuff like that. But at the same time, we've done a lot of things to ensure that college students know all their options. That's why we have absentee voting, we have early voting, and same-day voter registration election. And what we've seen, especially in Ann Arbor and East Lansing, is that the rates of students have gone up in terms of voting, and the rates of the waiting in line has gone up. So our job is just to really inform them, to give them those options, and make sure that they can cast their votes.
So they can all vote absentee in their own states.
Yes.
So, sorry, the question that I have is, Michigan has come such a long way and a lot of progress voting. I don't make some are doing a great job. My question is, some other states, when it comes to absentee tracking, it's a little more robust, where they're showing kind of front to end. And I felt like, in my experience, there's a lot of folks who didn't realize absentee ballots were not received. I'm not saying that's a comment, but it is rare. Is there any efforts to make it a little more robust in terms of that tracking system, or is there anything else going on in that front?
Oh, so I actually just landed last night from DC. I was meeting with, we had a Deputy Secretary of State summit. So it's probably very nerdy today. A bunch of election geeks are sitting around asking questions about it. But it was likely because we also get to prepare notes about what things are going well in some people's states and how we can learn from each other. And certainly the tracking system is something that we can do better. And it's one of, we have a tracking system in Michigan that needs to be improved and needs to be a little bit better, but it's actually in the Constitution through proposal 2. And so there's a constitutional responsibility for us to follow through on that. And we're still debriefing based on what happened in 2024 and how we can do that, but it's certainly, the goal is to get to a system where you can snap get a text of where your absentee ballot is. That's the goal. Maybe it's some technological hurdle that you may guess. Government isn't very good at technology, but we're getting it. You have a question?
Oh, I have a comment that had with gravel that the program is doing about it. I think the other thing that they get is an idea of what is that period. How their goals and influences, how the decisions are made, and their lives too. Because I find a lot of young people go like a part of that. And I really want to just kind of appreciate it. Thank you very much.
There was information about the Michigan House Oversight Committee, who are election deniers, that includes the executive election information from Secretary of State.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, the House of Representatives has the power to subpoena and have oversight over government agencies. We're totally fine. What has happened is that this new oversight, chaired by Chairman DeBoer, has decided to go in a direction that is nonsense. So there is a website that is only got access to it as Deputy Secretary. I've been an election attorney for a while now, and I didn't have access. I got access to it as Deputy Secretary of State. So if you want access to it, you're gonna have to be a clerk, or you're gonna have to be Deputy Secretary of State. But the reason that it's so locked down is that there are things on that website that will allow you to impersonate a clerk.
Right.
That will allow you to know everything about the internal records and how we keep track of all the eligible voters in the state. How we program our voting machines. So these are things that just can't be floating out there. We can't allow that. And what the Republicans have said is give us complete access to everything. And this is while they have the Berry County Sheriff, Darley, sitting in the audience, passing notes to Chair Schmidt, the chair of the elections committee, telling them what to say. And we have no confidence in them that they're going to respect the sanctity of these documents. And so we have drawn a line in the sand. We are not going to turn over anything that is going to compromise the security of our elections. It just won't happen. We are going to be transparent. And so you can go to michigan.gov/election transparency, and every single document we turn over to the oversight committee is there. And we're going to eventually produce everything. Some things that are sensitive are going to be redacted and protected to ensure that our election system is safe. But we're not hiding anything. We're not hiding them. We're going to produce documents.
You say that election, that website again?
It's michigan.gov/election transparency.
Thank you. So, I know that Secretary of State, you have the responsibility of elections, which is very important, record keeping, but then you're also a customer service organization. So I just want to say thank you. I just renewed my license and taxed about 10 minutes the other day.
Yeah.
So Secretary Bensky really leaned into technology. You talk about how you want to lean in the future to continue those improvements because it's getting really good right now.
Yeah, no, it's important, and it's the most important aspect of our office, I think, besides election, because we help. We're a state that puts people on the road, and we have every single person who's a driver in the state comes to our office. So we are literally helping provide. One of the things that I led on about 2 years ago now is online title. So if you want to transfer the title from one vehicle to another, you can now do that online. And so we have about 60% of all of Secretary of State services you can find online, or you can do at a kiosk. We want to up that. I want to get that to 80%. I want to move there. I also want to make sure that when you're going to a branch, we're doing some real investigation of were you satisfied? Because it's not enough if we get you in and out in 30 minutes if you're paying. It's not enough if we get you in and out in 30 minutes and you didn't have to come out again a second time. We've got to do a little bit more rounding of how are we actually serving people in ways that respects their time, holds us accountable as a service organization, and make sure that people are getting the access.
We have time for two more.
Who hasn't asked?
I don't know if this goes back to your earlier point about that website, but it used to be the case that one could easily look at any candidate filings online without having to log into a system or anything like that. And now that has been shut down, and I guess you have to have access to the system. So again, I don't know if that's similar to the website you were talking about before. Can you tell us about that?
That's separate. And I this again, we always deserve to be criticized when we are not doing it as well. And campaign plans, portal that we have set up, they're not working well. Yeah. And we are all in on that to try to go. Because people should be able to easily access the reports of their elected officials, of their candidates, to see where the money is coming from. And right now, people are having a lot of difficulty in doing it. So we're working closely to give you the timeline. We gave a contract to an organization called Woodward Technology. And they were supposed to develop this site. And they have not, when they launched it, and this is the thing that boggles my mind. When they were in the lead up to launching it, they did do some testing, but they did testing without the actual data from our website to mitigate it. So once it got live, there were all these unexpected bugs that cropped up, that came up. And so we have really been having a number of meetings this week and over the last couple of weeks of identifying all the problems, putting together a problem to, putting together a solution and timeline to fix them so that people have more easy access. But today they don't, and that's a problem, and that's wrong, and I apologize on behalf of the
So, I wasn't criticizing, I think you guys are doing a great job, I was just curious about that.
No, I know you weren't, but I do think it's really, one of the things that we have a problem with in this country and in government is that when somebody does something wrong, nobody wants to stand up and admit it. I think it's important that when something goes wrong, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to say, hey, did you do this wrong? You should just say, yeah, you screwed up. And so I just want to be forward leaning on that, and I appreciate the question, even though it wasn't a question about whether we did something wrong, but to say, look, we screwed up and we're working on fixing it. Yes.
Yeah, so my question, it goes back to something you said right at the start. So there was a study done about 10 years ago, I think by Princeton, and they found that, it basically concluded that at that time, the United States is an oligarchy. And that the top 10% wealthiest people in the country control and influence the legislation. And you talk about dark money, and I'm wondering what do we need to do? How do we get it back?
Yeah, well, I do think one of the things that I would point out in Wisconsin that was some hope. One, the Democrat won, so that was great. But two, when Elon Musk tried to do all this stuff, he was doing it on the open, and people reacted. So we have to, at the very least, ensure that anybody who is spending any money in Michigan has to put up their hand and say, I'm spending this money, I'm donating this money. All contributions should be public.
Yes.
All.
Yeah.
We've got to explore heightening the ability of people in the legislature and other elected officials to have something called leadership pacts. Now, these leadership pacts are a direct loophole around campaign finance contribution. So with the leadership pact, if you set up a leadership pact, let's say Natalie and I are aligned, we are. But she sets up a leadership pact, and I like recommendations from all of you, and then you give her some extra money to her leadership pact. She can then send me another contribution. So it's like I'm getting 2 contributions from everybody in this room. That is extremely counterproductive and corrupt.
Right.
Yes.
And we have to, so people remember Lee Chapman, the former Republican Speaker of the House. He had like 8 leadership pacts. And he wasn't creative, it was like, we checked the leadership pact 1. Leadership pact 3. And it's just like, it's silly. So let's limit them to 1, we only get 1, and that's it. No more loopholes. So complete transparency and closing off the loophole. Our campaign finance.
Thank you. All right, before we go to our next section, Mr. Brandon Kolo has our wonderful petitions. This is for our current incumbents who are running for this election, this race. If you have not signed already, Morello, we're gonna pass it along. Let's sign. Let's get to the finish line. All right, we're gonna open it up now. So treasury report, Deb's out today. I didn't get the report. I'm sorry. It's fine. Next meeting, we'll do that. We're gonna move to our candidate section. So who wants to get the first one up for our candidate section? Yeah, right now.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Left familiar faces. You also see what I'm having with my 3-year-old daughter. She's so for being born. It's slowing down as we were talking about. My name is Amanda Treppa. I have lived in Oregon almost 4 years, born and raised in Michigan, indeed. And I'm running for state senate for pharmacy.
Wow.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I can tell a lot, I gotta tell you. But I'm really proud to be running for the seat, and as we were talking about redistricting, the district has shifted. So now it looks like there's no more Birmingham, there's no Detroit, and there's no Beverly Hills. It's now shifted to Macomb and Oakland County. So with that, yeah. I was a foster kid in Oakland and Macomb counties. I grew up when I was adopted in Macomb County, which factored into me running for the seat. Because I believe myself, families represent the best of both. And truly want to make sure we have genuine representation in our legislature. And also it helps with a lot of resilience right now. We need people who are comfortable being uncomfortable. And I am proud to hold an HR leadership role at Detroit Action, doing, I say, organize the organizers. People call me an activist, I say, it's a nice compliment. I'm really there to support, the pillar of support for the team and the rest of the community. I also serve here in Royal Oak, and the Officers Compensation Commission, as well as involved with numerous activities like Moms Demand, you've seen me at Lobby Days, with Mother Justice, maternal health, and workers' rights is my biggest passion. I do a lot of workplace abuse. I champion the Workplace Psychological Safety Act here and in Michigan, as well as New York, where I lived for 10 years before moving home to raise a daughter. And we are both to pass the bill. And I think that's much to introduce. And we have some amazing relationships with some of our legislations, and we're looking towards fall to be introduced here as well. So I am looking forward to getting to know those who I don't already know. Let's do the question.
Yeah, what parts of Macomb is?
Yeah, it's a western part of Warren and Olmsted. Yeah, so it's a really big group. I'm very proud to have a lot of support coming out of Macomb County. I will say we're not usually up there friendly. So I really appreciate the being supportive of me and issues and represent them, as well as everyone here in my community. I'm so proud to be part of here. It's been a very good time for the moment I returned home. Any other questions? And you can ask me anything. I've never done it.
I
Yes.
just have a general question of, sort of the world's changing fast, right, with technology. And I'm just curious with, traditional ways of running a campaign in Oakland, like door knocking, phone calling, having done all those things, I can see a difference from this last election to 2 years prior. How many people picked up the phone? How many doors were open? And I'm just curious, like as you're thinking about your campaign and thinking about a collective democratic vision, what ways, kind of two ways, how can we support you in a different way? How can we engage technology? Because we've got streaming services, the younger folks, are on TikTok. They are not hanging, you know what I'm saying? So like, what are you thinking as you start to launch your campaign strategy in this day and age?
I love that question so much. So I'm 35, but I was raised by parents who are now in their babies. So I've kind of gotten to see technology on my end as well as running the gamut all the way up, right? Right now we're going to launch, so I've already gotten into it in the last week. Really expanding our communication resources and meeting people where they're at. So at Detroit Action during the last election, I did hire by myself 253 paid canvassers. And with that, we also did phone banking, we did spanking as opposed to also phone. So I'm going to that, I can tell you like response from text messaging as opposed to doing on the phone all the time. Because most people that I know are going to be so irritated if I call them. They're going to be like, no, thank you. Please just send me a text. I'll get back to you when I get back to you. Even Instagram, my direct messages are usually fully loaded. So like one of the members of my team has access to let me know when we hit a certain amount. And I'm able to respond to people right away on there. It's really re-strategizing. Like we've had the same approaches for so long. It's time to start branching out, shifting them quite a bit. But also like the members on my team, we're pretty diverse, right? Like I'm diverse myself. So I want to make sure that everyone on my team represents the communities I'm a part of. Everybody can tackle everything from that approach. So we can say, hey, Amanda, I don't think this is really going to like with all of my college friends. I have one of the college friends who's on board. He's on my team. It's amazing. But sort of to say, hey, this is like how you contact these groups in a different manner. TikTok is great, there is high engagement, but I'll tell you, it's not the only way, it just truly is not. It's making sure you also know how to use your phones effectively when you're going up to people, you can just go ahead and tap your phone and say, hey, here's my contact information, this is how you reach your fastest.
Everybody's fine.
So really maximizing all of the communication strategies that we have across the board, instead of thinking that there's only one way to do this, because there's really not. We can see it in our legislature, that's how they got control, right? There's not one way to do it. They strategize, they like to say like American Revolutionary style, right? Did it so you couldn't see it coming. So that's how we have to approach it moving forward. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Yes.
Amanda, do you have a theme for your campaign? Like, not just a slogan, but a theme, like what you want people to recognize you for?
Resilience is the thing. Resilience, and for myself personally, being a voice during that change. Than we have before. Resilience is also about seizing opportunities, and we talk about opportunities that we have here. And we need people who see it and they grab it right away. They don't wait to see, hey, maybe I get the next time or the next. So being able to have the resilience to know you only get one shot sometimes, so you take it when you get it. Yes. Yes. I talked about right away. Being able to address how we approach health in the workplace, because at the end of the day, we all have to pay bills, and if you don't feel safe paying your bills, however you are, it kind of stops everything in your life, right? You can't really focus. That's gonna keep you up at night. And if you don't want to go to work, you're not going to be happy at home. So they coincide with each other. And I think we need to start really looking at those cycles, and that's why that legislation needs to be introduced. So that way we can start moving forward and actually start doing things in our lives that don't keep us up at night. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Bastion, and I am running for Oakland City Commission. I'm not asking for your signatures today because my term line is on April 7th. We've been pretty aggressive. We've been a pretty aggressive canvassing campaign. Fortunately, I'm very lucky individual that I was able to corral a number of friends and get out there and get the signatures. So, to be honest, if you weren't able to sign for me, don't worry. Hopefully, in November. My platform is largely based on housing, business, and health and wellness. I have some literature over at my candidate table to speak about those, but what I want to speak with you about today is qualities that I would bring to the table, both as a candidate and as a petitioner. Balance, inclusion, community are three things that I bring to the table, as well as collaboration. Balance, I'm on the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Historic District Commission in Royal Oak already. These might seem diametrically opposed. Historic District Commission, we're concerned with preservation. We are concerned with making sure that we have reverence for some of Royal Oak of the past. The Zoning Board of Appeals, this is all about future. This is all about progress. This is about how we develop the city. History and future, balance, that's key, and that's something that I would bring to the table. Inclusion, let's be real, Democrats are the party of the people. We are the party of the 99%. We have the biggest tent. We want to make sure we continue that big tent. I was looking at Pete Buttigieg's Instagram today. He says, the last ships coming from China, not affected by tariffs, are arriving at our shores today. So people who are politically on the other side of the fence from us are going to start turning on what they believe. And we need to make sure that we open the tent to them. While it might be really, really enticing to say, told you so, we need to say, well. As far as collaboration, it piggybacks right off of inclusion. Everybody's given a different skill set. Everybody brings something different to the table. We can work together to build a solid future if we collaborate. I promise, as a candidate and as a potential commissioner, I will collaborate with any stakeholder that comes to me with good ideas come from everybody. We have to be open to that. And finally, community. My campaign is not about me. My campaign is about you and me and that. We have to come together to build Oakland's future. I intend to do that. That's what I have for you today, friends. Thank you so much.
Part of the relative official section. Let's start with the state representative, Alan Price.
Oh. There's a lot going on in Lansing right now, and by a lot, I mean a lot of messaging and not many actual meaningful votes. But I want to give you that update about Lansing, how I see things, and how I'm working to shift things for Democrats to be able to at least message more effectively in the face of Republican messaging. So as many of you know, right, last election, we kept, because they weren't up for re-election, the Senate and the governor, right, continued to be represented by Democrats. And in the House, we lost Democratic control. I serve Natalie Price, House District 6. I represent most of Royal Oak, most of Birmingham, all of Berkeley, Huntington Woods, a little bit of Beverly Hills, Bloomfield Township, and Southfield. And this is a strong Dem seat, right? I'm so grateful, so lucky that I have strong Democratic constituents, strong Democratic voters, strong Democratic supporters. It gives me the ability to have a more unique role in Lansing to be able to push back against Republicans with strong Democratic messages. In the House this week, they did a lot of nonsense relating to messaging. They tried to pass the House version of the SAVE Act. And why Aghogho said we gotta win was because it was a joint resolution, which means in order to pass out of the House, they would have needed a super majority of House members to vote on a poll tax that would have disenfranchised especially many married women and kept them from being able to vote without paying money for getting birth certificate, copies of birth certificates and passports, right? Like this is clear. Democrats, we don't want that. We don't want onerous, burdensome barriers in place to keep, especially our most marginalized members from being able to vote. So that was a really easy no vote for Democrats. But why are they putting it up even if they know they won't get a vote? Well, because it messages to the base. It makes them feel like they can say, oh, Democrats want illegal immigrants to be able to vote. We know it's not true. What are we doing now? We're offering more alternatives. We are working with the Secretary of State's office and the Attorney General's office to say, what can we put up that are good, clear methods to admit we have work to do. We could do some more with transparency. We could do some more with accountability, and we won't disenfranchise people. And put those methods up, and the Republicans are taking them up because they want their message point, they want their leaders to have their name on the horrible bills, and they don't want us to get any credit for the good work we're doing. But we can introduce them, we can message on them, we can say we do want to make sure that our elections are safe and secure, and shift from just messaging against to also messaging for. This week, there was a dramatic moment, went a bit viral to still, some of you saw it, thank you. What happened? Well, the Republicans were putting up a ridiculous resolution to, actually a bill that would require all state documents to refer to the Gulf of America. Messaging, sign this nonsense, right? So why are they putting it up? Well, to make Trump happy after he came to Michigan, right? So they're putting up a silly bill to message to Trump and show that they're supportive of him. So I wanted to take that and say, well, what do Democrats want to do, right? We don't care about the name of a body of water 1,000 miles away. We care about, and my attempt was to high bar that bill to get them to recognize that we're gonna connect, well, if you wanna do that, we don't care one way or the other, we care about our moms, our babies. We had a momnibus package that was introduced that would help address disparities in maternal and fetal health care. And so I got up on the floor and offered an amendment to tie bar this nonsense, ridiculous message to something good and meaningful, and made a speech on it. And the speaker pro tem gavelled me down and said I was out of line. And she meant to say out of order, but whatever. Either way, I'll own it, right? And raising up real issues makes me out of line or out of order in your minds. That's why I go on. What is the goal here with messaging? We're saying we have solutions. We are paying attention to things that our voters, our constituents, and really all Michiganders care about, not the things that you're trying to message on. So there is a shift, I feel, that we are being a little more proactive. I want to tell you a little bit about where that's coming from as well. I am organizing a project right now in the Michigan State House called the Vision Project. We are working with the States Project, which is a national organization that helps empower Democratic state legislators to put forth a clear vision and a plan for who we are and what we stand for. This is collaborative government at its best. We haven't seen this in Michigan, by the way, where we go to our constituents, our partner stakeholders, and our voters, and get them to weigh in on who we are and what we are working on. So we did a survey internally of Michigan House Dems. I'm very proud to say I managed to get every 51 members of the Michigan House Dem Caucus to fill out a survey telling us what they care about, what they think their constituents care about. Maybe the proudest thing about this, but they have no idea how hard it is to manage our internal business. Anyway, everybody contributed, everybody filled it out. We just created a completed process of working groups around 5 main bucket areas of core democratic values, right? Healthcare and education, affordability, economic development, and I'm missing one. But these working groups created a vision. And soon we're going to be launching and going to our constituents. You're going to see legislative town halls, legislative doors, people knocking on your door, surveys being spread through our legislative and stateside newsletters and social media accounts. We're going to have roundtables with our partner stakeholders. We're going to say, this is who we are. These are the things that we care about. And we need to hear from you when you're looking for our package policy level. What will we do when we bring back the trifecta? What are you looking for? How can we prove to you that we are who we say? So stay tuned on that. But again, this month we'll see the launch of that. And my ask of you is to show up when you see that there's a legislative town hall in Detroit around education and equitable opportunities for education. Show up, come speak out, come have your voice be heard in terms of our future. When we can't have that, what we want to do, what we say we're going to do, and that those things are in line with our constituents, and that we have caucus buy-in, coalition building, consensus building, right out front. So that's a big part of what I'm working on right now in Lansing. I guess that will take me now. So that's my legislative update. I also asked permission if I could do a little non-legislative, right? The other hat that I wear. And this is so funny because Aghogho talks about leadership hats. An event for my leadership hat. I only got one. No intention of opening up one. Well, I just kind of like you're saying, right? This is a loophole, a campaign loophole that allows people to give really without limit. When one legislator can have more than one leadership hat, then they can get contributions kind of funneled without limit. I have one leadership, and it is designed and created, you can go and see the public message of it, to support Democratic State House and State Senate candidates. There are limits to how, very good, important limits to how much my PAC can give to any individual candidate. That's not what it's designed for, to fully support any individual candidate. It is meant to help those strategic races for the State House and the State Senate to help us break out the trifecta And it's meant to help the campaign caucuses for the State House and State Senate. So because we live in a strong Dem area, we have that extra responsibility of looking beyond ourselves strategically to the state, because we know that Royal Oak, that our constituents are better off when Democrats hold the gavel. We need to shift our focus toward doing what we can to help support the Democratic caucuses in the House and the Senate. So I have an event tomorrow. It's called Purposeful Warriors for Majority, because I have special guest Jocelyn Benson coming to speak. Her book called Purposeful Warriors will be released 3 days right after my event. She's going to do a preview of the book, and one lucky participant will be drawn out of the hat and receive an advanced copy of the book. So really thrilled to be working with Jocelyn Benson. As you know, she is running for governor. Yes, I have endorsed her, but this is not an event for her campaign for governor. It is her helping us all out collectively support Democratic candidates strategically for the State House and Senate, so that we can get back that trifecta for whoever our next governor is, to get what they need to continue to move things forward in Michigan. So if you're interested in joining us, please pick up a flyer. Would love to see you there. Thank you.
Oakland County Chair, Mr. Dave Woodward.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Still morning, right? Yes. Good morning. Good morning. For those who don't know me, Dave Woodward, I'm the chair of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Good to be with you this morning with Democrats charged up, ready to win, do things at the local level, county level, and national level.
All right.
You're going to be ranting about wages and paid sick time and everything. I just want to let you know that we are so proud to have a state representative like Natalie Price, who stood the ground. Republicans take over the state house, first number one priority, lower wages for working people. First number one priority, weaken the paid sick time law. That all of you help play a role and get it on the ballot, but fighting a 6-year court case to be able to make sure a new law got put in place to put working people first. And Natalie Price every single day. It's something not only we can count on, I was able to count on to be able to make the case for workers. And while we weren't 100% successful, fortunately, we did make sure that a wage actually did happen and more people had paid sick time as a result of that. But let it be clear that Republicans are no friends of working people. When they say they're the friends of working people, when Donald Trump is out there saying I'm for working people, they're literally leading the charge to weaken the social safety net, to make it harder for workers, and doing it not with a scalpel, but with a chainsaw.
Right.
So let me give some examples of the county level. Like we talked about the federal budgets, the skinny budget that the president just introduced. We talked about hearings and the budget tasks that that Congress is taking on. It has real life consequences to Royal Oak, to Oakland County, to the state of Michigan. Just to put it in perspective, we are at risk in Oakland County of losing $50 million of funding. Yeah. This funding actually supports law enforcement, our prosecutor's office, it supports public health, it supports all of our services that help support the most vulnerable. Top of the list is the elimination of the community development block program. This is a program Royal Oak uses to combat blight, improve parks, make strategic investments to make Royal Oak a place that's better and make our community stronger. It funds at a county level similar things, but also the backbone of funding for groups like Haven and Lighthouse and a lot of our social service organizations that are the last line of defense before complete and utter economic chaos. It funds housing initiatives, emergency housing, homeless shelter, supports and other things. Those things are completely on the chopping block because the answer from the president that communities should do that themselves. $50 million worth of cuts already. I mean, one of their Doge posted on their website some celebratory thing, cutting funding from COVID released the dollars that we were using to the balance of the year to hire 5 public health nurses. Their job, very clear, is to go into nursing homes, oddly, to check the sewage pipe to detect where there's spike in influenza, in COVID, in other types of diseases. Oakland County actually led one of these initiatives. The model is actually being replicated around the country. The president cut those funds.
Yeah.
So we are blind now to be able to deploy our public health resources to help support and protect our most vulnerable residents here. And we are scrapping with, because we're Oakland County, that we do have a fund balance that we can backfill some of these things that we're working on. But long term, $50 million is not just something you can snap your fingers and read again. And that's real. I got a letter directed to me. Well, I got two letters. One that says, we hear you're doing DEI in Oakland County. We are. If you want to create a world in which everyone's not evil and you don't want to address the challenges of the past to make for a better future for everybody, then get out of our way. We are going to continue doing our thing, but related to that was the second letter from the Department of Transportation that we're reviewing all the federal funding grants for roads and other types of stuff, and we're solution all of this. And I'm like, comfort, because I know that I live in a community that supports people, supports workers, supports our community, and supports our neighbor.
Yes.
Despite all of that, and the energy in this room and around the country, the resistance is real, the resistance is strong. We need to continue to do that every single day. We also need to remember that we go about a process of electing people, not just to score the numbers to have one more than the other side. Is to put people in office that have the courage to do the right thing, even when it's hard. We actually deliver on the promise to make our world better. And so I just want to talk about three things at a county level. And despite this chaos, despite all the things that are happening in the world, we are shoulders back, chest out, charging forward, delivering on. I'm going to talk about three things that I'm really incredibly proud of that Oakland County is leading better than I would argue most of our counties across the country. When we talk about building things in America, it actually has to result in building things in America. This tariff war is going to destroy our economic systems, our supply chains, and everything. It's going to cause collapse in a hurricane case. In Oakland County, while we're not a national county, that we invested and started a program that the state of Michigan has adopted and that we're starting to point across the country called Project Diamond. And basically, it is about using additive manufacturing, advanced manufacturing techniques, 3D printing, and harnessing AI and automation in a way to distribute how we can manufacture and make more things. That gone are the days of giant plants that build one or two things, that we're moving in a direction, smaller plants that are nimble enough to make anything. And we have the technology today. We have, I look in the audience, I see young people that are here, that they harness the future of the shaping of workforce. They can do things faster than I can even think of it. And how do you harness that and make things? And so Project Diamond is literally a project about, it's a program that's designed about buying an array of 3D printers and placing them in manufacturing shops all across Oakland County. We're in a transition point. There was a industrial revolution, we had the Great Recession and COVID, that we've got people who are in their late 60s, 70s that are running 7, 10, 15 person shops, making one or two parts. And they're getting ready to retire. And in many cases, their kids aren't ready to step in line to be able to take over that, aren't interested in taking over that. There's one story I'd love to tell. This is about Rufino Valentine. You know what drinks Valentine vodka? Some of you should drink Valentine vodka. That during the recession, this incredible product made in Florida. During the recession, he has a specialized machine for bottling and everything, made in Italy, and it breaks. That recession during the COVID season. And all over there, it's like, what is it going to take? Remember the ships weren't moving and everything? What is it going to take to get this part right? Well, it's going to cost $135,000. Sells it paper. But it's going to take 9 months. And he's like, 9 months? She doesn't move, vodka doesn't go. And remember, it was COVID. So he was one of our first that we employed a 3D printer to, and he was a big box. And he poses the question, did that thing make this part? And never made that part. And so they go through the process to make that part in less than 24 hours. That machine is up and running and everything's going. It's just an example. And as a result, 15 jobs never got disrupted. The supply of product didn't get disrupted, business thrived, etc. Just one small example. Imagine if you're a firm, you're small, like I can't bid on the 100,000 parts orders, but I can get 10,000. But can 10 make 10,000 a year, and then all of a sudden you open up the ability for our small mom and pop manufacturing operations to make things in America in an efficient, fast, standard way, and be working together. I'm happy to report in Oakland County alone, 300 mom and pop small manufacturers now have this product. We delivered 3D printers to it. We're on course to do 500, and we're replicating that across the country. That's how you make things in America. And as a result, our manufacturing base is stronger than ever before here in Michigan. Second thing, housing. Our state of the county, our county executive gave the state of the county address, celebrating some of the incredible housing measures. We've talked about this before. We need to be building upwards of 12,000 new housing units by the end of the decade. If we do not, the economy will show itself. We will not have workers that will work within it, but be able to live in a reasonable proximity of where the jobs are. And this is a private sector, public sector responsibility. In Oakland County, we started the Oakland County Housing Trust Fund using President Biden and Kamala Harris's rescue plan money to seed it, put $20 million in it, since put another $20 million in committed revenue, and we're committing $2 million plus a year in state revenue from our shared revenue dollars that come from the state thing. To be able to be part of the stack, if you will, the financial stack that's necessary to do this. If we want to build housing that is below market price, it's a math problem. You have to come up with public subsidy dollars to be able to make it happen. And in just less than 3 years of starting the program, funding the program, and then soliciting proposals, we are on track to have 700 new housing structures built in the next 12 months. That was working through the process right now. And it's across the board. It's senior housing, it's worker housing, it's low income housing, and in addition to that, building shelter capacity, because the economic pain that exists is real. We have nearly 2,000 homeless children across Oakland County, and the wealthiest county in America. And we need to be able to make sure that there's places, safe places for people to put their head at night, be able to get up the next morning, to fight, to get back in the game, and to be able to be part of a economy that works for everyone. And then the last thing, one more thing. Oh, I got it right.
Come on, Barry.
What? Zoom that. I am so proud of our program. Again, some of you might have heard me talk about this. Republicans do not believe that there's a duty of the government to make certain that people can get a higher education and not be shouldered with a mortgage when they walk down the aisle with their diploma in their hand. They absolutely are doing everything they can to dismantle all of the tools and support. Getting the entire student aid program pulled out of the Department of Education and putting in the Small Business Administration, as if you're going to throw it into put it in the hands of a woman that knows more about MMA than actually educating people. It's absolutely insane. And so as a county, there are a number of programs, thanks to the President Biden, former President, and President Obama. New programs were put in place to make it easier to manage that debt. The cost of college, the cost of post-high school education is enormous. That being said, there are a number of programs that are put in place that are sometimes so convoluted and complicated and change on an annual basis, it's hard to apply. The Oakland County Partners Organization, started by 2 people, senior level leadership in the Obama administration, that went to the Obama administration to do one thing: figure out a way to lower the burden of college debt on them. 2 people, they leave the administration, they start a company called SAVI, S-A-V-I. And as a result, they had huge success partnering with corporations. They've developed an online platform, think of it as TurboTax for student debt. I guess like that's not one way I remember. And they got TurboTax working with large employers to say, hey, make sure all your employees know about this. There's nominal fees, I mean, you become an annual membership fee, and you put your information in. They have a 99% application success rate of identifying the eligible program you are and getting you enrolled. And so I was at a conference, the National Association of Accountants. I met these guys, and I said, "All right, I got an idea for you. They're like, you're an employer of 5,000, and we would love to work with you. Yes, but I'm also a county of 1.2 million. And like, oh, we've never, that's a lot of people. We've never done a county that, we haven't done a county, I mean, in complete totality. And I was like, I will give you, and ultimately negotiate price, I will give you $500,000 that you can save me at least $500,000 of student debt for my, for all the people in Oakland County, including our employees, some that live outside the county. They hem and they haw, and I said, that's not a big thing. And I said, good, got a deal. And you had the board passed it. Again, no Democrat helping us, no Republican helping us, because they don't believe the student debt's problem. In fact, I had one of my older members who said, hey, you know, we told you she was $8,000. I paid my own way. Nice.
Yeah.
This way she probably got figured out. At the end of the day, we launched the program last year. We just crossed that milestone, 1,000 people. So we're paying the $500,000 pays for the first year enrollment for 85. So it's free for anyone to go on. So if you know someone who needs that, refer to the Oakland County's webpage, go to Savvy directly, there's an Oakland County link. And we have now we have $40 million of student debt under management. $20 million that's on track to be completely wiped away. And what I think is actually one more immediate thing, because that takes some time, an average of almost $200 of savings per month per individual. Because what happens, these programs already existed, but if you went with the normal process, you fill it with copy, you send it in. 6 weeks, 10 weeks later, you get a note. Your employer put a wrong decimal point in, it didn't match up, and it got rejected. And it says, sorry, we're trying again. This has a 97% success rate on day one, which is why I think the savings for those who have college debt are so real in day one. And $200 or so saving per month, $2,400 a year, that's the and a couple months of apartment. That's money that's freed up in the economy, helping people get through this, managing that debt, doing approximately $500,000. I'll do that again every day, every year, to make sure that it happens, to make sure that our young people get the education that they need, that they want, to make sure that we're active members of our society, that builds an economy with them. That's it. That's it.
I'm Commissioner Sharlan Douglas. The three of us have also good news today. I was the green of but I still go here. Our speaker earlier today said, when no one comes up, it should be omitted. When it came to the parking system we established here several years ago, reminded me that she voted against that system. At any rate, we have to rectify that. We've gone out for bids for new parking systems, and you will have a chance to weigh in on those systems next week. On Wednesday the 7th, the vendors, the prospective vendors to provide this equipment and these services are going to be bringing in stuff for you to try to get your hands on to see what the feedback is. So Wednesday morning, I think it starts at 8 a.m. at the Senior Center where we usually meet.
there will be a demo, and then, in the evening, there will be, they'll move the equipment down to the farmer's market, and there'll be an opportunity for you to try it there. The intention is, I got good news and bad news. The good news is we're getting rid of the old system. The bad news is you'll still have to pay for parking. But you won't have to back in, and, and the system will be integrated, so whatever application, phone app we're using will be across all of the parking areas, both street, decks, and parking lots. So that's one of the goals of this new system. And we're looking to have our vendors chosen by this summer, and because the current parking system will be out as of December 31st, and we're moving forward to get the new system implemented by January 1st. So yes, government screws up, but then government has an opportunity to make things right, and that's what we're trying to do. How did that? We'll cover other things. Morning.
Morning.
I just want to bring three things, that goes on your radar. So in 2026, or sorry, 27 and 28, the city will be resurfacing the 11-mile area between Woodward and Stevenson Highway. There's currently a survey that's on the city's website where you can give your input. Tell the city how you utilize 11 mile currently, what modes of transportation you use, you walk, you jog, you bike, do you travel it by car 3 or 4 times a week. Just so that we can get an idea of what works for the city. Trying to make the city more walkable, the ability to use it by bike, make it safer for our pedestrians and for visitors and residents. So that survey is on the website until May 11th. So you have just over a week to go in, put your input in, and let the city, the technically first, know how you utilize that area and what you would like to see. The second is I want to mark your calendars, June 5th. That is a Thursday. The Community Engagement Board is putting on its annual block party. It's a fun family event. It is the police departments there, the fire departments there, you can engage with them. It's fun activities for kids. There are food trucks, but it's just a time to get out, get together, and enjoy time with your neighbors. It's at the farmers market. It is from 5 to 8, and it's always a great event. So come out if you can. The third event is our annual Juneteenth celebration. Always June 19th. It's at Centennial Commons and in the farmers market. That will be from 4 to 8. And there'll be horseback riding there, there'll be lawn games, there'll be some educational events. You'll hear a speech about the history of Juneteenth and why we celebrate it and why it's so important. But it is a part of our American history, so it's important. And so I hope you all come out for those and take advantage of the survey. May 11th is last day.
Those of you who don't know me, I'm very pictures. I hate going last because all the speakers performing are so great. And then the passionate Dave Booker speaks, and like I'm just in awe. Like we need more voices like that in DC for sure. Thinking like that. So I just want to get on, Dave talked about block grants. That's been a very important funding source for the city. We've used over $8 million in block grants over the last several years. We fit that for fun stuff like parks, Sullivan Park, Lawson Park had a $1.2 million upgrade that we couldn't do without block grants. We just broke ground on the newest Lawson Park. And these are all neighborhood parks. These are directly impacting people who work and live right around it. Lawson Park's going to get a $750 million upgrade this year, thanks to block grants. But then we also use it for really important stuff, the ROSA program. Seniors can get free or very low cost assistance doing chores, cutting grass. Easy fixes, handyman fixes around their house through that program. And we run a lot of homeless shelters. There's a lot of homeless shelters within the city that rely on those monies. And we don't know what we're going to get next year. It's about $2 million a year that we get. It might just be gone. So this is real consequences to this Doge program and the chainsaw. That chainsaw represents people's lives being impacted. So it's scary. So not to be all doom and gloom there, but the city is constantly looking at ways that we can improve ourselves. Over the last handful of years, we've been through some transition in our administration, but we have a new city manager who's here for the long term, has a lot of fresh new ideas, and that gives us back on track to really drive our priorities again. We have been implementing our climate action plan. We're looking at transportation plan. So over the next several months, I think we're gonna start hearing a little more about plans and how we're going to implement those to continue moving this forward. So I'm excited for the next couple months. If you have any questions, I think we can take them. Great, no questions, let's go ahead.
I still know, and I haven't seen it in a long time, I know it's not the city commission, but I think it was staff. But they had a civic class, they ran over a period of 5 weeks. I really hope they bring it back, especially ahead of the election, so they featured each department. Do you know if they're planning to do that?
Yeah, the Citizens Academy.
Citizens Academy.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna launch. I know we just, Chief of Police is actually doing the academy for kids right now. Middle school and high school kids to teach them what the police do, that we're partners, we're friends. And we're not just, people responding to situations, right? So that's been really important. The Citizens Academy, I think, is typically late summer and fall thing. And our staff, they're really proud of that, so.
It's fantastic, they did it, and so I would encourage everybody to sign up for it, but I didn't know that they continued that.
And what that does too, I'll give an example, it teaches people what the engineering department does, what our planning department does, what the building department does, things that, you might just not know. I'll tell a story, maybe a decade ago, 15 years ago, I had an issue in my house, and I couldn't get resolved with the sidewalk. And I called the city hall, I'm like, I like to speak to the mayor, please. And they said, he doesn't work. I'm like, what do you mean mayor doesn't work here? And I want to speak to Allison now. They said, he's at work, he's a construction manager. I don't think people quite recognize that we don't work at City Hall, no offices at City Hall. People don't realize it's a city administration that does the work. We are part-time employees. And I think the Citizen Academy does a really good job at helping explain the role of elected officials, the role of administration, and just what each department does and how individually it impacts your house.
And budgeting.
And budgeting.
Yeah.
I will also say our new city manager is really big on communication and being open. So I think we'll see a revamp of some of our website materials to help us be more transparent and help us be more outright with how we display our information. Lisa and then Lisa.
Can you make sure that everyone knows about the No Mo May program?
What's No Mo May? We've had an amazing group of, they started as tweens, the tweens, now full-blown teenagers, who brought this to us a handful of years ago. And it's just an initiative. We won't give out tickets during the month of May if you let your grass grow. This is to promote pollinators. It is completely voluntary. You don't have to participate. You can participate if you want. I think the best thing about it is that it's been raising awareness for about 5 years. We talk about pollinators now. I said this the other night. I talk more about bees in the last 5 years than I have ever since kindergarten. Like, it's been pretty cool way to raise awareness.
And you can purchase signs to put on your lawn from the.
It's a hot program. You go down to City Hall, buy a $5 sign anytime you want, let people know you're participating. It goes back to our fund to help promote something.
Then they don't just think you're a deadbeat, they know there's a purpose. That's it, that's it.
Oh, yeah, take one more and then I
I have a question was I did fill out the survey for the 11 mile. I wanted to know quickly again, what were the dates that they were gonna do that because of 696 being shut down heading east? A lot of folks have been using 11 mile particularly for us. That shut down.
It is in plain stuff.
All of that, one of those people may or may not be. So with that shut down, how are we gonna do?
Yeah, so fingers crossed, and finishes on time because the teacher is showing me first. Like, I can't give it up much longer. You.
Yeah, time. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so, and that goes back to the engineering department. I have hypothesis, like these plans just don't come up overnight. They need multiple years to crowd geometry,
Yeah, lanes, and they're not contractors, so. Wash out those, yeah.
An update for our judicial appointments for the governor's office.
I'm Rick Wallace, I'm a judge on the Michigan Court of Appeals. You probably heard that the governor just made a bunch of judicial appointments, and two of them that I want to talk about here today, because they're going to be on the ballot in November of 2026. Number one is a gentleman named Noah Hood. He's a judge on the Court of Appeals right now. He was just appointed to the Michigan Supreme Court. He's an incredible appointment. If you have a minute, go on the Michigan Court of Appeals website and look at his bio. It's incredibly impressive. Just to give you a little bit of a snapshot, went to high school at Cass Tech, and he did his undergraduate education at Yale, then went to Harvard Law School. Wow. He worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office. He then worked in the Wayne County Circuit Court, where he had a veterans treatment program. I'm not sure if he founded it or if he just promoted it. But then he was appointed to the Court of Appeals. He has done a tremendous job there. When I was here the last time, I told you folks that we were about to have a Supreme Court that was going to have a 6-1 majority, 6 judges that were nominated by the Democratic Party or appointed by a Democratic governor versus 1 Republican, and that has now come to fruition because Noah Hood has been appointed to the Michigan Supreme Court. So. The people be on the ballot in November of 2026. As always, turn over your ballot so you can vote for the judges. Number 2, in our district, we're in the 2nd district here, which makes up Oakland County, Genesee County, and Macomb County. The governor appointed an individual named Chris Trevilcock, and he is fantastic as well. He's actually a Uper, born in the UP, but lives right here amongst us in Royal Oak. He couldn't be here today. His son had a soccer game that he's going to appear at some future meetings, I believe, and he'll introduce himself. But I just wanted to put that name out there. Last name is Trevilcock, Chris Trevilcock. And uniquely, he is an election integrity specialist. So the governor just appointed an election integrity specialist to the Michigan Court of Appeals. Part of the reason why I think that's important is, remember, Michigan Court of Appeals also has, as a part of it, the Court of Claims. And a lot of election issues come through the Court of Claims. They also come directly to the Court of Appeals. So Chris Trevilcock is a tremendous addition to the Court of Appeals. He also has an impressive bio. If you want to take a look at that, he went to Wake Forest Law School. Again, he's one of our neighbors. And so, again, if I could just say those names one more time. Justice Noah Hood on the Michigan Supreme Court, we want to keep him, and Judge Chris Trevilcock for the Michigan Court of Appeals, we want to keep him as well. Thanks a lot, folks. I appreciate it.
Second basket, Gary Shea from the Democrats of South Oakland County. Big round of applause. Hi, Chair.
I have 2 invitations for you this year. It's always been the case that artists have in many ways led the resistance to injustice in any society, going all the way back to Aristophanes in ancient Greece and all the way up to Kendrick Lamar in the Super Bowl this year. So in that spirit, then in South Oakland County, we're right across the Woodward Avenue, Berkeley, Lincoln Woods, Oak Park, and Royal Township. We're sponsoring an art show this summer. The title of the show, theme of the show, is Resistance Works. Will be held at the Art Participate Gallery, which is on 12 Mile in Berkeley. And we'd like to invite you to come and enjoy some colorful art. On July 15th, Sunday afternoon, 3 to 5, it's going to be a fundraiser for the Democrats of South Oakland County. It's a $10 ticket. Come in and see some great art. Have a little wine, cheese, maybe some cookies. Pretty fun. So we hope to do that. Have some flyers with all these on the table back there, right? It's all the information on it. Second invitation is that the owner of the gallery, Edevbie, who was just thrilled when I said, hey, can we do this? Would like to invite any working artists in your membership or among your friends and neighbors and allies to submit work for consideration in the show. And that's what I love with artists, right? Sure there's, so, July 13th, participate in Berkeley, 10 of South Oakland County, come in and help us raise some money for next year, because we're gonna need it, and enjoy some great art. Thank you for your time. 25. 3 p.m.
And what day?
July 13th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, send the invite out there.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you so much.
Come on up, you gotta introduce yourself, and tell us real briefly about what your work is with Rural High School. So, Owen's our new intern, so hello everybody.
My name is Owen Kruger. I'm a sophomore at Woodward High School, and I'm going to be interning with the Woodward Area Democratic Club this summer and right now. So the main thing that I'm working on in the past couple of weeks, I'd say, is starting a high school Democrats club at Woodward High School, and I'm planning we have about 20 people who are interested in coming to our meetings, and we haven't had a meeting yet. Right now, we have our first meeting scheduled for May 15th, and tentatively, we have our easy students.
Whoa.
She needs to figure out her schedule first, so she's kind of on the US side. But this should be yeah, that's like the main thing here, and as the intern for the summer, I'll be trying to kind of drive youth interest, get more young people to join the club. Shout out my friends Max and Cam, things that are about. People like them and myself to come here, because as you can see, we only have a couple of people in that. In Royal Oak, there's a lot more that need to be here. So that's all I have.
Right. So next, safeguarding bylaws. I'm gonna make this really efficient, and Carl will give me more information. All this is World Rising again is our youth committee to drive youth interest in the club and build a party from the base. What this bylaw change will be is for bylaws is to have a permanent standing committee for World Rising and have 2 members. Shouldn't be controversial. Do you want to say anything else about this?
Well, I just want to just explain really quickly how we make bylaw changes, so you can submit something to the executive committee puts it together, we then bring it to the general membership, which we noticed in the last meeting. So I just had a chance to look at it, it's been on our email, link to it, it's been on our email for a while. So you guys have had a chance to see it for 30 days, now we can vote on it. Let me just clarify what it does. All it does is it adds representation on our executive committee, or 2 members of World Rising on that. And then the second thing is it just establishes it as a. So.
Motion, I'm sorry.
I need a motion, that's right. I need a motion. Vote, all in favor, say aye. Everybody vote, say nay. All right, there we go.
So a quick announcement, I started this journey 2.5 years ago, and Lisa, where's Lisa? Lisa dragged me in the hallway and said, Michael, you're gonna do this. It was my goal to be chair, but as we get a lot of primaries, I personally work for Haley Stevens, I felt it was really important to have a neutral chair. I care so much about this club, and I really appreciate everyone giving me, sorry guys. But, I love this club, and one thing I just want to make sure you guys know, we are, in Oakland County, we're one of the top clubs. We are so lucky for our representation, our speakers, our city commission. We're so lucky to have like more youth now. I'm really proud of how far we've come. We've modernized this club. You are in great hands with folks in our leadership. But it's good for me to kind of pass the torch. We are going to have a special election for our June meeting. I will not be hiding, but thank you guys so much for taking a chance on me. And thank you.
But I wanted people to know that when we tapped him on the shoulder, he stepped up. It wasn't like he was saying, I'll do this. And it takes that kind of dedication and commitment to step in when the need arises, and a special person only can do that. And you've done it with real style. And Michael, it's not easy to run a meeting, to get it done on time, to make sure every voice is heard, to deal with the disruptions in an orderly, polite manner. You've done a great job. Yeah. Dedicated all that work. He's made things. Thank you so much.
We have coming like so. Well, as per our bylaws, the vice chair now takes over since he has stepped down, so I will now be the temporary chair of this club. It is the one mentioned. So what will happen at our next meeting is we will have nominations to take over the chair position, and also a vote at that meeting, at the June meeting, which is the first Saturday in June. It is my intention to run for chair. Okay,
One James and 10 Sorrows.
So as per the bylaws, if I were interested in running for the open position of vice chair, I need to step down as secretary before that meeting to make it so I could run, and then we could also elect a secretary. So I'm thinking you might consider me next month for vice chair. I'm going to step down at this moment as secretary. I'll keep taking notes. But things move along. But so I'm just stepping down, and that's the reason why there's. Thank you. We did get it, did order when you had yours in that. We're still going to be continuing to buy shirts. I'm going to keep getting that in verse 25 and keep the price. So if you want to buy a shirt, it's either on the back too, it's really cool, because we're going to be out there making parts and protesting and making sure that people know what Democrats are. Yeah. So wear the shirt, you're doing good. Because it shows what Democrats are. Yeah. Right? You can go on our website, go to, actually, you sign up. You sign up, there's a link, you can buy shirts. Okay, Edevbie here is going to be, it was very successful last year. We're going to be holding at the same place, July 26th, 4:30 to 6:30 at 5th Avenue. And why is that? So it was very successful last year. We have a lot of speakers. What we do is it's just a way for, we have our politicians come, they get a chance to mingle and get to know their constituents, as well as constituents come to get to know their officials. So it will be, we haven't determined all the details yet. You pay a fee, you get a ticket for that. And then you also have bingo cards. On the bingo cards are all the petitions and you know the officials that are coming. And you have to go around, select the signature for each one of them. And as you get your bingo card filled, you turn it in, and we will have prizes at the end for you. That way you get to talk and have a great conversation with some of the officials. So lots of food involved too. And you get to drink. So We'll let out some more details as it goes. I just signed the contract with Fifth Avenue this week, so we will maybe have that coming. So July 26th, keep it in your calendar.
All right, and this is very quickly. Last wrap up is we are doing participate in Memorial Day Parade. We really need people. So again, this is really important. I'm here veterans, but we're also making sure that we have presidents who really care about our, calendar. Including, our social night is taking place Thursday, May 15th. At Katana Rita's. I butchered that, but I will send that out.
Conterios.
And, otherwise.
Conterios.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
First of all, thank you for your leadership. I'm really appreciative of the deep bench that we have in leadership, so I really appreciate that. I want to just bring everybody's attention that the Royal Historical Society has an exhibit running through this month, and it is a tangled web, stories of African Americans in the 19th century Royal Oak. The historical, please visit the exhibit. They're open till 4 today. I think it's important for us to continue to support our institutions that are holding our history, because we don't know that the history might be erased. So Webster and Crooks, please visit it. You have the rest of this month to visit that exhibit.
Great. And before I start, German, if you have not signed, you come at city commissioners ballots, you see Mr. Kolo. Or I'm sorry, go over to this wonderful table over here. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? Second? All right,